All right, everyone, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. I thought it was the last one was today. Yeah.
What you don't know is that Joel and I have had to trade some spots on agendas the last couple of weeks. Are you recording? Okay. So I want to call this meeting to order for the Transportation Advisory Committee for the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. It sounds like we've already been able to establish that there is a quorum present. It's actually so great to see so many people in person. But it is important for us to go through and do introductions. So my name is Gail Sturdivant. I'm the City Engineer and Deputy Public Works Director for the City of Colorado Springs and the Chair of the Transportation Advisory Committee. And Jason, if you would.
Yeah. Jason Dosh with the Town of Palmer Lake, Public Works Supervisor. Thanks.
I'm Danelle Miller. I'm a transportation planner here at PPACG and filling in for John Liasados, who is our transportation director. He's on vacation this week.
Laura Cruz, Mobility Coordinator.
Brian Vituli with the City of Colorado Springs Mountain Metro Transit.
Aaron Busto with Federal Highway Administration, Colorado.
Will Keenan with the Federal Highway Administration.
Joel Grebenik, City Engineer for Manitou Springs.
Lachelle Davis, CDOT Region 2 Local Agency.
Kathleen Collins, CDOT HQ Statewide and Regional Planning.
Jeff Guthrie, Region 2 Transit Planner.
Good afternoon, Wendy Pettit, CDOT Region 2 Planning. And this might be my last meeting. I'm not sure.
Tim Roberts, City of Colorado Springs Transportation Planning Manager.
Thank you. And those that are back here with staff, you could introduce yourselves, please.
Philip Roy, Transportation GIS Department. Jared Verner, PPACG, Public Information.
William Mast, GIS Admin and Modeling Lead.
Hi, Casey Fortman, here with PPACG, GIS Planner.
Great, thank you. I'm hoping everyone had a chance to take a look at the agenda that Danielle was able to send out to us. If there are changes, please bring them forth now. And if not, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
This is Brian. I'll move approval of the agenda as presented.
And this is Jason. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. I'd like to open the floor if there are public comments for any items that are not on the agenda. Are you seeing any, Jared? All right, it does not appear that we have any comments for those items that are on the agenda. Let's move on to the approval of the minutes. I hope everyone had the opportunity to review those. And if there are no changes, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
This is Brian. I'll move approval of the minutes.
Anyone willing to second the minutes?
This is Joel for Manitou. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Minutes are approved as presented. Board of Directors report, Danielle.
Yes, we had a number of items go through the board of directors this month. We had a tip amendment number 4, which was the CDOT STIP additions and an additional change. Those were approved. The congestion management process was approved, as well as the UPWP amendment number 2. We did have one question on the congestion management process that the board asked us to bring back to the TAC. And that's regarding the a bit of the language in the scoring methodology. So there is there is an item in the scoring methodology that awards points for water harvesting. And there was some concern with the board regarding what that meant because of the limitations here on how much water you can collect. So we wanted to bring it back to the board, to the TAC, and make sure that that wording didn't need to be changed, and just make sure that the TAC believes that water harvesting is not an issue for projects going forward. Will, do you have something else you wanted to clarify? Okay. Okay.
Just looking to see if you wanted me to come up.
You understand it better than I do, so.
Danielle, is this an item you're proposing we take action on today, or something that you're going to be bringing for our consideration at a future meeting?
If we can discuss it today and we can take it back to the board and let them know, yes, this is an issue that we need to adjust, or no. If the TAC is comfortable with that, that would be ideal.
Do we have the congestion management plan in this section of the scoring that we could take a look at and read it in its context?
Let me bring that up and I will see if I can share my screen. Just a moment.
So now we got it pulled up.
You do, thank you. Yes, that is the item in question.
Do we have how we're using water harvesting defined other places in the document?
We do not. And I think that's why the board was questioning the intent of it.
That was on page 143 of the Board of Directors meeting materials last Thursday.
Danielle, in the interest of time, I think that we probably need the opportunity to look at this again in the further context and provide you some additional guidance to take back to the board. If it would be acceptable to the TAC members, I think we could put something together and maybe even exchange information by email and get feedback back to you, since it doesn't sound like it's an action item at this point. It's a point of clarification.
Yes.
Would that be acceptable?
Yes.
Would that be acceptable to the members of the TAC?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Anything else to report, Danielle?
That was it.
All right, great. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda. This is our first action item. And Danielle, I believe you're up to talk about our tip amendment.
Yes. So as you all know, there was a notice of funding availability that was released earlier this year for SDP Metro, TAP, carbon reduction program, and also some MMOF funds. We held a workshop last week, and I believe everybody in the TAC is agreeable to the recommendations that came out of that discussion. Between that workshop and today, we've also discovered that there was a couple of modifications to the funding availability. So we actually have just under $5,000 additional dollars in TAP funding. There was a reduction of $32,863 in the carbon reduction program funding. And then there was a reduction totaling $500,089 of the STP Metro funding. And I believe the city of Colorado Springs and El Paso County are in agreement regarding how we might reconcile those changes with what we discussed at the workshop. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I'd be happy to present those, Danielle. So for the TAP funding, we wanted to propose to the city of Woodland Park to see if they would be able to take on the additional $4,864 for their project. And I know we had talked about some of the excess TAP funding in the past going to your project. So Ben, I don't know if you wanted to address that.
Yes, we would absolutely be able to take that over. Thank you.
Okay. Well, great. So we would propose that Woodland Park be awarded the TAP funding. The carbon reduction funding, we would talk with Mountain Metro Transit and they would be willing to take that reduction on their project. And then Victoria, I believe that you're online, that through the emails exchange, it sounds like you'd be willing to take the reduction for the time being for your Walker Road project.
Yes, we will reluctantly take $500,000 less. But we would ask if there is additional funding that falls out of the sky within a timely manner that we consider Walker Road again, because we are still underfunded regardless of the 500,000. So we will be willing to take that reduction at this time.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So any other discussion on what's been proposed in your packet for the award underneath at NOFA with these changes that we just discussed? Yes, Wendy.
So the STP Metro was already previously agreed upon that the money, the 240,091 would come off the top of that. So there isn't really a hit for the 500,000 because Danielle already took that off before she had the call for projects put out. So that was not included in the dollar amount that was sent out to begin with, if I'm remembering correctly, right? So it's like, it's only the 200 and whatever the difference is. And I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I, when you sent your email, I did not realize that 240 was the purchase that we had already run through the
Right.
tax. So it's really just a reduction of 259,998.
Correct. That's what
Okay.
I think it is anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so Victoria, that impacts Walker Road, so it's a slightly less reduction or almost half of what we just discussed.
That's wonderful. And Wendy can't leave.
Concur.
Thank you, Wendy.
Any further discussion on this TIP amendment?
Yes, Gail. I
Yes,
just have a
Brian.
question for Danelle. So the two attachments we have one table, and then we have a second table.
Yes.
Can you explain the differences? It looks like the second table is what we came up with at the end of our workshop, right?
Yes,
And
that's correct. So we put these tables together to take forward to our TAC and board or our CAC and board that weren't available to go to that workshop. So the first table is the applications that we've received, and the items in gray were those projects that did not receive funding. And then the second table, it was the recommendations that came out of that workshop. And obviously I will update this following
Yeah, okay.
today's discussion.
Okay. Great, thank you.
So will you use the updated table as the basis for the TIP amendment then?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
So when you get that done, will you send it to me?
absolutely.
So I can make sure that gets worked on before my exit is made?
Yes, yeah, I will absolutely do that. I will also send out the individual project reports to the jurisdictions to make sure that everything's in line.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
And Danelle, if you could send out the updated table to everybody too, that would be helpful.
Yes, will do.
Thank you. And Gail, if you're looking for a motion, I will move approval of the amended table for approval.
All right, great. Thank you, Victoria.
This is
Yeah.
Brian. I'll second.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the tip amendment passes with those modifications to the table as discussed. Moving on to the next item, it's back to you, Danielle.
It is. So last month we had CDOT here to present the safety targets that CDOT has set. These are our annual targets. As our MPO, we're required to either develop our own safety targets or support the states. And our staff recommendation is to support the state's targets. So what we're looking for today is to recommend approval of PPACG supporting the state targets for calendar year 2023. And I believe the past history is that we have always supported the state targets.
Any discussion on this item? Looking for a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
This is Jason. I'll recommend approval of PPACG supporting state safety targets for calendar year 2023.
Thank you, Jason.
This is Dole with Manitou. I'll second.
Thanks, Dole. Any further discussion? All right.
Madam Chair.
Oh, yes, sorry, there is, it looks like there's a question online. Thank you. Appreciate it. Dr. Duncan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just have a question. So with what we're looking at on the screen where it says CDOT 2023 safety targets, and it says number of fatalities is 668. So that means that they don't want to go over this number, or can you go into some discussion about what these numbers mean?
Yes. And I honestly don't have all of the background. We had CDOT here last month to go into a little bit more of that detail. But yes, what they do is they take the history of the historical number of incidents and normalize it and do a trend. And they come up with their safety targets on an annual basis. So in the number of fatalities, their goal is to have 668 fatalities or less in the coming calendar year.
And I would restate it that their goal is to have no more than 668
yes
fatalities per year. And I would say that one of my personal angst with the goals, every time we hit this every year, they feel like their target, like it's something we're achieving. It's actually the upper threshold that we would like to avoid and be below that if possible.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? All right, we have a motion by Jason and a second by Dole. All in favor of adopting the targets as presented by CDOT?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that item passes and we'll adopt CDOT's. All right, we're ready for the CDOT updates.
Okay, this is Kathleen Collins from CDOT HQ in statewide and regional planning. The TC met yesterday and they had a joint meeting of both their regular meeting and their workshops yesterday afternoon. And they spoke about revising PD 1610, the greenhouse gas rules, to address the disproportionately impacted communities in more detail. They discussed the budget change and then also project delivery for segment 5 of the I-25 project. In addition to that, what is probably of interest to the TAC is the TAP process has been a new process for TAP project selection has been approved by the Transportation Commission. The idea is to have 5 regional committees formed. The purpose of the change is to ensure consistency between the different regions for the project selection, but each region will have its own committee, and the committee will be composed of 3 region representatives that are assigned by the region RTD. There will be a representative from the Division of Transportation Development from HQ, representative from the Division of Transit and Rail, and then one TPR chair will sit on the region committees or their representative. And then the idea is to start the selection process in early 2023. It'll either be January or February. Another aside related to STAC is that it is likely that the January 2023 meeting will be canceled. Notification of that cancellation will occur hopefully by the end of this week. And in terms of staff changes, Lisa Streisfeld, who used to work in the Office of Innovative Mobility, is now going to be working in Region 1 as the Regional and Planning Environmental Manager. Ashley Nyland from the office left CDOT. And then there is a new project manager, John Marcantonio. I'll send out an email with these names and the changes in staff for the Office of Innovative Mobility. In addition, the Division of Transit and Rail hired a new planner. His name is Cody Hedges. So those are the updates from CDOT HQ.
Kathleen, can I ask a question quickly?
Sure.
The TAP change, how does that impact the MPO, if at all?
It probably does. It would just be that I don't think it does impact the MPOs.
Okay.
If you
So
already have your process.
It's the TPR.
You may be informed of the meetings that happen at the region level in terms of the TAP projects. The region planning staff would keep you apprised as to what's going on.
So to answer your question, here's what I think. The projects will be submitted like they usually are from all over the region. And then to my understanding, then that committee they're putting together will look at all the different projects and they'll be ranked and looked at for compliance with the changes that have been made in the plan. And then I'm not sure based past that point, and then maybe you might know something, Kathleen, how they'll be awarded. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know that anybody really has an idea at this point because we haven't seen all the rest of the documentation for the changes. But for our region, the gentleman that you're going to all be dealing with, or you're going to have to resource back to, is Rob Fry. And he's on our meeting today. He's on the video because I won't be here to do it. And he is the manager for this region and he should be your contact, at least at this point.
Okay. And that's for the state funds, it doesn't impact the funds that
No,
go
not your
through PPACG.
MPO funds, just the region 2 portion of the statewide funding.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Sure.
And then also the exact representatives are still to be determined. This is just the process that's been approved so far.
Okay.
Gail, can I ask a question?
Yes, please do, Victoria.
So as probably one of the lone Central Front Range representatives at this meeting, so it sounds like this Central Front Range is no longer going to be selecting its own projects like the MPOs. Is that correct?
I don't know that yet, honey. I wish I could tell you that for sure, but I don't know. I'm not sure how that whole process is going to work once the process gets to the point where the projects are selected to meet the criteria, the new direction that we're being given for the program. At that point, they could go back to the respective TPRs. That would be my choice, but I'm not the person sitting in the chair making those decisions anymore. So I would like to have those done the way we've always done them. So we have the support of the elected officials through the process. But until we have the document, I don't know the answer to that for sure.
The one thing that the STAC strongly lobbied for was having the TPR chair sit on the region committees. And so I just know their involvement will take place through those committees at this point, but I don't know any other additional information to share in terms of how the TPRs render their projects and let the TPR chair know what they would talk about at this committee that gets formed.
Yeah, it's a little bit just a little concerning, just have the chair, because that chairperson may be from one area and not know anything about projects in other areas. So how do they represent those projects? Do they know anything about them? How do we have input put into that process? And does that comply with the statewide planning process, where we are to be making recommendations as a TPR that goes to CDOT, and not get excluded from that process? So I would just like to note that, and then also ask if the statewide application has come out yet.
I don't believe the application has come out yet.
Okay, well, yeah, definitely have that concern, and then also would like to understand the timing, because the application process can take longer for jurisdictions, because we have to go to our boards for support. That can take up to 2 weeks. So I hope that CDOT, not only in figuring out the process, leaves us enough time to do the applications and get them through our processes.
I'll convey your concerns, and I will also take back your concerns about the RPC membership and their participation in the decision-making process for TPR projects.
Thank you.
Can I ask one other question? Kathleen, do you have an update on the PPACG funding for those projects that we have in the works?
You mean for the projects for the toll credits? Those are in the works. The idea is that the critical one for the STBG funds for the data purchase is in the works and anticipated to go through the process by the end of the year. And then those other ones, we anticipate getting the contracting done by the end of January in 23.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other CDOT updates or anything anyone else wants to add?
I don't think there's anything else, because you already all know that I'm leaving. So that's the only other thing that I think, unless Rob or someone else on the video has something to add. Jason, William.
It looks like
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Looks like there's something in the chat that the NOFO for the USDOT fiscal year 23 raise program has been posted today. I think that's actually been out, right? And the applications are due February 28th.
Yes.
Is that the adjustment?
Yes, they updated it today. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Let
It's the
everybody
update.
know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, and a good resource for grant status, at least on a monthly basis, is the TC packet. Has a list of active grants that are being pursued by CDOT, and just NOFO information is listed on a memo that's put out monthly as part of the TC packet. So something to be aware of.
Okay, great. Anything else from CDOT? Otherwise, I'll move on to the IIJ updates and other funding opportunities, which we were just kind of already talking about. As we know, the raise grant NOFO is out, and it sounds like it was updated today. Others that are out there, anything to be expected? I'll ask a question. Does anyone have any idea when we may hear about awards underneath the mega and infra grants? Actually, the infra came out just under the mega grants.
I have not heard. I know that they did announce the raise for last year, the award winners. So I don't have a time. I haven't heard the timeline on the mega.
Okay. Anything else on this topic? All right, we'll move on to the next item. Jacob on the CDOT system performance target setting, which I think, is this a carryover from the last agenda?
No, this is actually a separate item. We had Jacob a couple of months ago come and talk to us about the PM2, I think, performance measures. This is actually the system performance measures. I was of the misunderstanding that this was all CMAQ related, which is not true. So Jacob has very kindly come back to present on these measures as well.
All right, great. Jason, are you available to give us an update?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Let me get a presentation for you. I'll pull up unless Danielle has it. Oh, awesome. So, all right. So good afternoon. My name is Jacob Kirchner, and I'm the Performance Data Manager at CDOT. Today, as Danielle said, I'm going to cover CDOT's system performance targets for PM3 of the National Performance Measures. Also, as she mentioned, we were at the October TAC where we presented bridge and pavement targets, which are part of the infrastructure condition targets. Today, we'll be discussing the system performance targets. And as a reminder, the MAP 21 and FAST Act require state DOTs and MPOs to establish 4-year data-informed targets and to report on progress towards achieving those targets. Next slide, please. So the system performance targets can be broken down into 3 subcategories, which are system reliability, congestion and multimodal travel, and congestion mitigation and air quality, or CMAQ. System reliability establishes targets for the percent of person miles traveled on the interstate and non-interstate national highway system that are reliable, and also a target for the truck travel time reliability index. The congestion and multimodal travel targets are only required for applicable urban areas only, which is the Denver and Aurora Fort Collins urbanized area. And then the CMAQ targets are also only applied to DRCOG and North Front Range MPO. Additionally, in the future, a 4th subcategory may be introduced into the PM3 goal area. Currently, there is a notice of proposed rulemaking to include a greenhouse gas performance measure, which would require state DOTs and MPOs to establish declining carbon dioxide targets. Currently, right now, the notice of proposed rulemaking is still under review, and therefore targets do not be established. So for now, PPACG only needs to establish a 4-year target for system reliability. Next slide, please. So data for system reliability is tracked in the National Performance Management Research Dataset. The NPMRDS is a vehicle probe-based vehicle travel time dataset acquired by the FHWA for its use in various performance measurement programs. The dataset calculates speed and travel times for road segments across the national highway system for every 5 minutes of each day. The NPMRDS can be used by individuals from federal agencies, DOTs, MPOs, and other authorized organizations. Next slide, please. So system reliability is calculated by looking at the number of national highway system travel segments which are considered reliable. Travel time on each national highway system segment is analyzed during 4 different time periods. Those time periods are weekdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., and then weekends, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And so it takes the longer travel time divided by the normal travel time, and that's used to compute the level of travel time reliability ratio. For a segment to be considered reliable, it must exhibit a level of travel time reliability below 1.5 during all 4 of the time periods. Next slide, please. So to establish 2- and 4-year targets, future levels of system reliability were forecasted using predictive analytics. CDOT developed a model which included point data, which is data from our travel demand model, which shows the location for each establishment, school, and home in the state. It used population data, Loveland Pass transit data, which is data used from the travel demand model to predict long distance travel throughout the state. And then it also used historic system reliability data from the NPMRDS. The predictive model was able to predict already known 2019 reliability within 2% using data from 2012 to 2018. Given the accuracy of the results, CDOT used the model to predict our 2023 and 2025 reliability targets. For the second performance period, CDOT established the following targets. For the interstate, the percent of travel on the interstate that is reliable, a 2-year target of 81% and a 4-year target of 79%. For the non-interstate national highway system that is reliable, a target of 93% and 94%. And for the interstate truck travel time reliability index, both a 2 and 4-year target of 1.46. Once again, MPOs must either establish their own or support the state's 4-year target by March 30th, 2023. Next slide, please. The FHWA will determine that a state DOT has made significant progress towards the achievement of each 2 or 4-year target. There are no financial restrictions for the PM3 goal area if a state DOT does not achieve significant progress. However, if a state DOT does not meet significant progress, it must create a report which includes a description of the actions the state DOT will undertake to achieve the targets in the future. Next slide, please. These next 3 slides I'm going to go over analyze system performance for the state and each MPO. For the interstate level of travel time reliability, the state and PPACG are experiencing lower levels of reliability as Colorado's population continues to grow. Although in 2020, reliability saw a large spike, which was a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2021, reliability began to decrease again as restrictions were reduced. However, we're still seeing reliability above those pre-pandemic or 2019 levels. With current data available as of November 2022, PPACG has a reliability of 93.2%. And as a reminder, CDOT established a statewide 4-year target of 79% for 2025. Next slide, please. For the non-interstate national highway system level of travel time reliability, PPACG hovered right around 85% from 2017 to 2019. During the pandemic, the reliability increased to 88% in 2020 and 92% in 2021. And with that current data available as of November, PPACG has a non-interstate national highway system reliability of 94.1%. And then once again, as a reminder, CDOT established a statewide 4-year target of 94% for the non-interstate national highway system. Next slide, please. And so finally, for the interstate truck travel time reliability index, PPACG saw truck travel time reliability increase from 1.36 in 2017 to 1.46 in 2019. I do want to note here that for the truck travel time reliability index, the lower the index, the better. And then under 1.5 is what is considered reliable. In 2020, as a result of the COVID, reliability dropped back down to 1.3. And then the drop was relatively quick and reliability rose back to 1.44 in 2021. And it's currently at 1.46 through November of 2022. And then again, as a reminder, CDOT established a statewide 4-year target of 1.46 for 2025. Next slide, please. And so that concludes my presentation. I want to thank you for your time. If you have any additional questions or would like more detailed information regarding the target establishment, please feel free to reach out to me. Are there any questions I can address right now?
Jacob, this is Gail Sturdivant. I don't see anyone in the room or online yet with questions.
Okay.
I will ask Danielle, since he's made the presentation, I assume we'll have this as an action item here in the next month or two.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
All right. If there's no other questions on that item, let's move to Will to talk about the traffic regional data purchase. Thank you very much, Jacob, for your time today. Appreciate you joining us.
There it goes. Hello, this is William Mast with PPACG, the GIS admin and modeling lead, to give an update on the regional traffic data service. This is a program that was put through the TIP amendment and approved by TAC and executed back in October. We immediately sent out an RFP. We had several responses, assembled a committee, a selection committee of 5 individuals to review those responses, and on November 22nd reached a consensus for Streetlight to go ahead and be awarded the contract as soon as we had notice to proceed from CDOT. Just wanted to provide an update to the TAC on where we stand with this. That was sent to CDOT, and since then we are just waiting for a draft agreement from CDOT. It's been promised by the end of this year. Once we have that draft agreement, we will review it. If there's no changes that need to be made, it goes back to CDOT with our official signatures on it, and we'll wait for signatures by the director and the state controller where it comes back to us. At that point, it will be considered fully executed, and then we can go ahead and sign the contract with Streetlight as the selected service on a 1-year basis. Because we're not expected to receive the draft agreement until 12/31 from CDOT, it means that there will likely be a lapse. So for those of you who are currently using the existing contract for the Streetlight services, we just wanted to make you aware of that. If there's any analysis that you'd like to get run in before the end of the year, because that contract does expire at the end of this year. And we're not sure when we would be able to go ahead and have this fully executed. The sooner we obviously get it back from CDOT, the sooner we can have this executed and sign it. But otherwise, just wanted to bring you guys up to speed and see if there's any questions on this process or the selection.
So, well,
I just wanted to say that CDOT is ready to process it either before or on December 31st. And then the idea is that at that point, we would just need the signatures to go through the routings to get the procurement and get the contract executed. So that's what we're aiming for. If they can get it done sooner, that's what we all want.
Yeah.
So that you could route for the signatures so that you can get out your notice to proceed to the selected party. But so we're doing what we can.
Understood.
Will that suggests there's probably going to be a month. It probably won't be active until February 1st is what I would guess. If it's getting processed, we said rather for signatures and notice to proceed, right?
Well, what it would be is on 12/31, you would have the contract. Pikes Peak would have it, and then they would route it for signatures on their end. They send it back to us. Usually that is about a week's process to get the signatures in.
And then it has to be issued, notice to proceed has to be issued after that, right?
Then that would be up to Pikes Peak to issue the notice to proceed after it's executed.
Yeah, so we have a contract with Streetlight ready to go. They're just waiting our signature, which obviously we can't put on it until we have the notice to proceed. We did hear from Mr. Michael Snow at CDOT. We had a draft contract of what to expect, so we've already reviewed that. Once we actually get the official draft from CDOT, we should be able to go ahead and sign it in DocuSign. But then you are correct, Dole. It goes back to CDOT then, where again, it has to be signed by the director of CDOT and the state controller before it comes back to us with that official, before it's actionable. At which point, as soon as we do get it back, we've got our ducks in a line, we're ready to go. So the sooner it happens, the sooner we can make it official.
any other questions for Will? All right, thank you, Will. Appreciate your time. All right, let's go ahead and start with member announcements. I'm going to look to Jason, go around the room from there and see if there's anything you'd like to announce. You know, Laura, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Laura. Brian? Anything from FHWA? Go on. Yes. Go ahead.
Quick update on our funding. We passed a week-long continued resolution for next week to continue continued resolution we've had for the last couple months. And a new omnibus bill is expected to be signed by next week unofficially. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, that will be for the FY23 funding.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else? Anything here? Joel? Michelle? Kathleen? Tim? Nothing from the city of Colorado Springs online. Ben, do you have anything from Woodland Park?
I don't, thank you.
I know Victoria's on there.
Hi, I do have something really quick and very exciting, at least for me. Wanted to announce that I have a new job title. I am now the El Paso County Transportation Planning Manager.
Congratulations, Victoria. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Just see Jason, I think that's it unless I'm missing somebody who's online. If there's any announcements, please speak up. All right. Hearing none, I would take input from the TAC on any additional items we would like to discuss at the next TAC meeting. All right. Hearing none, this is your last chance. Otherwise, I'm going to call the meeting to adjournment. You got 3, 2.
Okay, one final.
Go ahead. Oh, I need to count faster, Victoria.
You're so close. I just want to highlight Wendy and all of her years of service. I have been working with her for 15 years since I've been here. And I don't know what our region and our Central Front Range region would have done without her. She is going to be hugely, hugely missed. And Wendy, I wish you all the best in the world, but I am so sad for our region. So I wanted to thank you for all of your years of service, for your dedication, and for as many times as you've corrected problems that we've come across. So thank you so very much.
Well, thank you for the nice, kind words, Victoria.
I'll echo. Oh, don't roll your eyes. You have always been there for this community, for this region, and time and effort. Much appreciated. Personally and private, professionally, thank you so much.
I enjoyed working here. This was one of my favorite places to be, as you know. I mean, the city of Colorado Springs and the folks that we have here in this MPO have always been a challenge. And not in a bad way. They've kept things lively and moving and growing. And I've learned a lot from all of you, and you've been my friends. I'm gonna miss you.
We're gonna miss you too, Wendy.
So Wendy, are you sure that we're not going to have to do this again next month?
No, because I don't think I'm coming to the meeting next month, honestly. I have a lot of things that I need to finish up inside the region, and I'm gonna turn that over, and that way folks can start with the right chair at the beginning of the year. There's just a lot to finish up to get out of here, to leave it all behind. I have stuff in my office from 1999 that I brought with me from Denver, and I've been working on cleaning that stuff up. Little did I know how much time that was going to take. I would have been doing it a long time ago, but anyway, it is what it is. And I'm trying to leave things behind in a somewhat order and semblance, so that I don't have to have somebody going through every single box that's left that's labeled Wendy from the old building, looking for something, as we were doing this morning for something that we needed to do for Pueblo, because Pueblo didn't have things electronically that you all did back in those days. So we were looking for something for I think 2006, 2004, something like that this morning for the auditors. So it's been an interesting ordeal to look at things from walking out the door. I mean, it just wasn't in the plan, and it just kind of but the thing is, as you get together to, your things together to move and you move into a new place, you never stop to think about the things that you need to do so far ahead of time. They're always the last minute things that you're trying to cram into the box and shove it out the door so that it makes it where it needs to go. And so I'm just trying not to leave that kind of stuff behind for somebody else to have to open that box and going, what is this?
Yeah, well, I just want to echo what Victoria and Tim said. I mean, I've been here for 15 years. I'm just like Victoria and, first at PPACG and then with the city, and you've always been a stabilizing presence here and keeping us all on track and correcting things and training us. And so we really appreciate it. And I really appreciate it. So we're going to miss you.
And again, I appreciate the kind words.
All right, before we adjourn, I think Wendy, you've been great for everyone. Thank you.
I knew him when he first started, like this gentleman sitting on his left. I mean, he came in as a trainee and I remember the first day you came into the staff with Jill. So it's kind of enlightening to sit back and look at some of the things, going through some of those boxes I ran across, names and places and things. And I'm finally telling Jeff today, oh, I funded that. Oh, we did that. And it's kind of interesting to go back and look at the things over a 20+ year career to see where things are at. So, and it really has been a pleasure to work with all of you. Even though sometimes we didn't see eye to eye.
All right, well, thank you again, Wendy. With that, that's a great way to end the meeting. I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you. Happy holidays.